Yeah, it turned into a part 3. It looks like this is part 3. So one, I kind of studied that I discussed, or you can say even studied, but basically I woke up to the fact that I could no longer live in the country that I currently live in. And then two, I got into that I could no longer relive in the marriage that I'm in. My choice. And then I guess this is 3. This is like actually going back to the country where I used to live before. And so, like, I was in that country, I was just adopted at 3 days old, raised in an abusive family, and I never met my real family until I was 40. And luckily, we met and bonded and all that. And then I found out that, at that point, 3 of my sisters were drinking themselves to death, and my brother. And both of my real parents were sober. And then now, 2 of my sisters are drinking themselves to death, and my brother and my 2 parents are still sober. Biological. And I've been living in a different country for 9 years, so I didn't maintain contact with them. Then also being in a marriage, it's pretty normal almost to just kind of get involved with your family and all that, and kind of isolate in marriage, other than like going to meetings and stuff. And this is like a major bottom. Nobody's putting their hand out this time. My son, I mean, I burned the bridge, let's face it, but I figured it 2.5 years, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. And then by choice, I don't want to be around the drinking part of the family, the ones that are drinking themselves to death, because I'm grieving a marriage, grieving culture shock, and it's probably some other childhood issues that I haven't gotten in touch with lately. I don't know, but it's just like all this trauma. And like I said in 2, my mom is going to give me a couple weeks there, and that would be in Alabama, which would be basically in a small town in Alabama that would kind of put me that where would I go from there? It would be basically about the same as being in a different country. I mean, as far as my profession or part of my profession or my part-time profession or whatever, there's nothing really that I can really do there. And as far as social climate and all that stuff, there's not a lot I can go there with that. So I don't know. And then my dad, I think it's mostly his wife's behind it, doesn't want to offer a handout. At least my mom will give me a handout, but my dad hasn't in our discussions, hasn't offered a hand. And he has like 20 some years of sobriety, and so does my mom. And I have 2.5, and I think, how frickin' selfish. I mean, they adopt me at 3 days old into a family where I get the fucking shit abused out of me. Sorry for the people that are offended by that word. I can't edit it. It just kind of came out that way. That abused me like crazy, doped me up on drugs before I was 5. I just got abused like crazy in that adoptive family. And then my real parents that put me in that family don't wanna help me out. Other than my mom will give me a couple weeks in Timbuktu, and maybe that's my best bet. And my dad, my real dad, doesn't want to. Probably because of his wife. Usually the woman controls the relationship. I don't know. There could be a lot of. Probably shouldn't have gone there, but there could be a lot. That's a whole different thing. But anyways, um, they're not willing to help me out, and they're in Washington State, which is kind of where I could plug into old friends, my kid, living situations, and so forth via Craigslist, or I could just pop up to BC, Vancouver, where I could get a lot of what I do type of work, or do part-time type of hobby, however you look at it. But it's just like, it's like back when I'm 3 days old. It's kind of like, except for at least, yeah. I didn't maintain ties with people in the States, my friends, which is kind of, goes with living in another country. A lot of them didn't want to get Skype, and then the marriage, and then I was busy with work, part-time work or whatever, or busy with other things. And the culture shock, but no handout. No freaking helping hand from my real genetic family that stuck me in an extremely abusive, dangerous, lethal family. And I think it's crappy. I don't understand it. I really don't. I think it's cruel and inhumane to put someone in that type of environment. I mean, they didn't know. They just adopted me out. But then to not offer a helping hand, that's... What do you do? I can't be around the drinking side of the family while I'm grieving my wife and the cultural shock and all the other stuff. I guess I should be resentful, but I'm just shocked. I guess one of the good things about this particular culture, on my wife's side, being the nationality she is, her family will help her out, no problem. I mean, yeah, she will be greeted back with open arms, which is good. I don't have to feel guilt about it because it's my choice to kind of part ways. I don't have to feel as guilty as she can get help for herself. And I've asked her to get into counseling to help her grieve or whatever, because it's going to be harder on her than me, believe it or not, even though I'm going through what I'm going through. She just does, yeah, and that's part of why we're getting the divorce. I can't communicate with her really deeply, and but that's another thing. But at least, yeah, hopefully she gets counseling and all that. But, yeah, so I know I'm not going to drink today or take drugs. It's a strict one day at a time thing right now. I can't go there anymore. I guess that's what I got going for me. Have some money in the bank. She has some money of mine in the bank. I guess we'll see where that goes, but it sucks. But, you know, with all the stuff I've had happen to me in my life, you know, this isn't as bad as going through the chemotherapy for a year. I've done a year and a half of chemotherapy in my entire life, all added up. But the solid year of chemo was tough, and I couldn't have done that without my wife and all that. But, you know, I currently have brain damage from that and an injury I sustained previous to that before. If you look at the back of my head, you can see, and that's a whole different story. That was 7 days without food or water, and my brain was hemorrhaging, and I almost died, and they didn't think I was going to live, and so I'm lucky to even be able to put these words together. So I guess I'm just lucky that I'm alive. And the other people are probably in worse situations or whatever, and I can be grateful that I'm frickin' sober, and I plan to stay that way as the game plan. And then I have my physical health, other than the brain stuff going on. I guess I have an opportunity to deal with stuff. I mean, there's a lot of practicing alcoholics, like part of my family, that are killing themselves, and they don't get a chance to look in the mirror or get to the point where I am at, where I can be totally frickin' screwed up at 2.5 years sober. They don't even get that opportunity. So I guess I can be grateful about that. But I'm not going to do a 4. I think I've just covered all the bases. So this is Alcoholic Out. Over and out. I hope that someone else is in the. I hope this helps somebody. You know, I do this for me, but I hope that somebody else sees this and it helps them out wherever they're at in their life.